Hey everybody, welcome back to another day at B is for Build. We're in the shack. Today, Eric and I start the bodywork. So we're gonna start just the general assembly of the car. We're gonna start in the back and work our way forward. So we're gonna install the rear hatch, then the doors, then the front fenders, maybe the hood, maybe the front bumper. We'll see how far we get. Stay tuned. Last time I did anything serious with this hatch, it fell on my arm and almost broke it. So we're gonna be one step more careful, and we need to say a little prayer that I can find these hinges because I have no idea where they went. But if we can find all that stuff, this should be a quick install. Fingers crossed. Very unfortunate to say, but kind of as I expected, I lost one of the hinges. So we have that hinge on there now. We have the strut on there. I ordered another hinge already. It's on its way here. And then we test fit the rear spoiler. Everything's looking pretty good. The panel gap looks good. Everything's, you know, falling into place. It's just a little bit off because we're missing a hinge. So we're gonna move on to the doors. My main concern with the doors is that they might not fit, because when I was test fitting them on here, it looked like the hinge was a mile off. But I asked some people and I said, are the hinges different for the 71 to the 73, which I think are the two different year models? And they said, no, they're not. So we're gonna go ahead and try and transfer the doors over here, and then we'll see about the door latches as well. We got our first door on here. We got all the hinges on here. Everything lines up. We didn't have any problem with the hinges. We got the latch installed and everything is functioning as properly. We have a little bit of a panel gap issue right down here, and it's really strange because it's basically only from here to here. So we're gonna work on that. We're gonna figure out what it is. And if we can go with the Rocket Bunny, we can get it to fit. It'll cover all of that so nobody would ever see it. But it's a bit of a mystery. We made some configuration changes. We changed up the hinges a little bit and actually made it a little bit better. So this might just be something that we can configure the hinges and fix. We also want to check the other door and see if it has the same problem. So we're going to move on to the driver's side door and get that installed right now. All right, we got this door test fit on here. This is not gonna live on here very long. This door is way too beat up to keep. I wanted to take another look at it before I bought a new one, but there's a big dent here, a big dent here, and a big dent here, and rusting at the bottom. It's just not worth fixing, so it's gonna be replaced, because if you guys remember, I was at that Datsun shop like last week, and they had a door, so I'll buy a new door from them. We are having the same problem though. Once again, the panels look okay up front, okay on the back there, and then at the bottom here, we got this little ledge gap. So anybody that's like knowledgeable about Z's, leave me a comment below. Let me know if you think that's just hinges, like work with the hinges more, and if we just need to spend some more time with adjustments, because there is quite a bit of adjustment out of these hinges, or if it's something bigger of an issue, then maybe we need to jump on that sooner than later and figure it out. All right, we can't have bad panel gaps going to SEMA. Next thing that we get to do is pretty fun. This is where it gets to more of the fabrication side. We're gonna be fitting the cowl, the fenders, and the hood, kind of test fitting them around, and hopefully get the fenders to a point. Well, we'll figure out what we need to do with the fenders. They probably need to be modified, and then we're gonna be building some tabs to mount them. We have hit an interesting spot. So we got a couple panels that we don't want to keep using on the car. We have the fender right here. This fender is completely rotted out on the bottom, and it's got this denting going on right here. So we're trying to replace it. By the way, if anybody in Oregon has a 240Z fender, they want to sell it to me, I would like to buy it. Please email me, Chris at B is for Build. We need a new fender. So we're not sure if we want to spend all the time to fit this fender perfectly and get the door gap perfect on that side, because we have a door that's a keeper, fender that's not. When we come over to this other side, our fender is fitting great. It looks, this fender is great, it's a keeper, and then our door gap is absolutely perfect. But then we have the door that we don't really want to keep. So it's kind of a, you know, we're trying to figure out, I guess we got to get all the panel gaps 100% perfect before we build the tabs, but we still want to be able to continue on and build on without having all the finalized pieces. So it's kind of tough. But we're gonna work our way through it right now. I think we're gonna start looking at the hood and see how that fits as well in the middle of these two things. Eric and I have got a lot of progress done today. We have figured a lot of stuff out, but we need more time. This is definitely a stage that we've decided we're gonna spend a little bit more time thinking and a little bit less time doing. So we're gonna call it a night tonight. Tomorrow morning, you guys can come with me to go get a new door. We're back. It's another day. We're at the Datsun shop. So my goal today is definitely to get a door, and we may get a fender. It's a little complicated. We'll see what we can get, and then I'll let you know how it goes. Man, we struck out. So I got much more in depth with these cars this time. There are so many Z cars around me here, and but the ones that are whole that have the parts, those are all customer cars. The other ones, we just barely got unlucky. There was like a 260 with a 74 door, but they move a lot of the mechanisms throughout the door, so that doesn't work. Found a fender, but it was just a little bit dinged up, and he had a brand new fender from Nissan, like, I mean, old stock, brand new fender. But it was the wrong side. So back to the shop. Back in the shop, I'm gonna get down to work in the trunk area real soon here. But I wanted to mention something that I saw also at the Datsun shop when I was there. I was taking a real close look at the panel gap on some of their Datsuns that had already undergone, you know, hundreds of hours of body work, were basically 100% perfect. And I was noticing that their panel gaps were pretty large. They were a little bit more like this size panel gap, where it's a little bit bigger than, say, on the side over here, where we have it a little bit smaller. So these cars, when they're assembled 100% correctly, are gonna have a little bit larger panel gap than, say, some newer cars, like a newer BMW that we've been working on, and some of the other cars that we've worked on in the past. So that's just something that we need to keep in mind. It's definitely not something Eric and I were expecting, but it makes a lot of sense when I look at the gaps that we have in the hood area, and especially the cowl area. And really what you wanna see is just that all the gaps are even, right? So the gap there matches the gap in the cowl, matches the gap in the hood. That's what you'd want to see to make a good looking car. So that's what we're going to aim for. A little bit bigger gaps than we had set before, which will also give us a little bit more wiggling room to try and get these things set straight. So if you didn't catch it though, here's the deal. I'm looking for a door, and I'm looking for a passenger side fender. I'm going to update Craigslist right now, let everybody know I'm looking for one. If we don't get any emails or anything like that for those in the next few days, I'm probably gonna have to spend a couple $1,000, and I'll just buy new door metal and new fender metal online, and hopefully they get here quickly. It could really screw us over, so I'd really like to get old metal. Getting down to work, I'm gonna go ahead and take this bar right here that we had for the fuel cell. I'm gonna fully weld it in because it's in the right spot, and then I'm gonna cut 2 bars that are gonna go this way and this way that line up with the edge of the fuel cell, that way and that way, and mount the fuel cell in here. And I may mount it off to the side a little bit, not too much, to give us a little bit more room for the battery box. I'm not really sure on that decision yet though. It'd probably look better if it was centered. I'll probably center it. All right, the fuel cell rails, or whatever you want to call them, are welded in. So they go from there to there and there to there. That whole piece is welded in, and that's great. So our fuel cell is where it needs to be, and it's going to be happy. And now the whole weight is being held by those rails right there. So we got the whole crew today. We got Oscar, we got Eric in here. Oscar's going to start work on the transmission tunnel, and Eric and I are going to keep working on the front and try and get these pieces mounted up. Quick update, Eric and I have decided how we're gonna mount the cowl and the hood. We're building these little risers that go underneath the cowl right there that the cowl will bolt into. And then off the back side of that, the hood pin will go into here. So we're gonna have some hood pins kind of centered on the hood right about there on both sides. And they are centered on the hood. Oscar's working on the transmission tunnel. He's gonna cut that out, and I built a little battery box that I'm gonna go ahead and weld in the car right now. Well, we're slowly stepping forward and getting closer. So what we did today is Eric fabricated up these pieces, and these are our cowl mounts and our hood mount. So we're gonna sink some hood pins through here and through there like we talked about earlier, and this is where the cowl goes. So he welded a nut into there. Then we have a bolt right here we're gonna drill a hole in the cowl. That's gonna go through there and land on a nut, and then there'll be a nut down there. So it's adjustable height. We can raise or lower the cowl as we need to, but it's also going to be bolted in right there. So Eric did that on both sides. That was mainly what he did today. And that sets us up nicely, like I said, for our hood pins. We're just having trouble setting the fenders because this fender's just acting so much differently than this fender. We did test out some more hood stuff though and found out that the height of the fender, it does need to be up a little bit higher. So we're working on getting that figured out. But we're gonna get it blocked here soon if we can't get a new fender. While Eric was doing that, Oscar started in on the, you guys probably saw us bust out the bead roller and try that out. Started in on the transmission tunnel. Now remember, this all gets carpet over it and stuff like that, so our bead rolling wasn't super perfect looking because honestly, it doesn't matter. But we wanted to add some rigidity into that, and we learned a lot of stuff today on this. So we got the dash in and out of here, test fit everything, got the center console in there. So that's where the trans tunnel, it actually runs to the back there right now. And then we're gonna come down, we got supports for it and everything like that, so it's not gonna be too flimsy. And then I added in our battery box, which you probably saw back here. It's not super pretty, but that battery ain't going anywhere. So we'll do a tie down strap around that. And that is the battery box. So we got a lot of progress done, but we still have a little bit more to do as far as the whole printing it up. And obviously the big issue now is that we gotta get a door and we gotta get a fender ASAP. All right guys, well that is a wrap on our body panel fitment, first 2 days. A little slower than expected, but we'll pick it up here. Once we get this stuff together and once we get it down, it'll go a little bit faster. If you like Beast for Build, you want to help out and support, head over to beastforbuild.com. We have these shirts still in stock. Get them while you can. And if you want to help us out in other ways, check out our game, D is for Drift. It's at dsfordrift.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace!